The University of Johannesburg is a growing university that proudly positions itself as an African university. Issues of digital transformation and the fourth industrial revolution, as well as societal impact, are very much core to the core mission of the University of Johannesburg. In 2019, the University of Johannesburg was selected to host the Trilateral Chair in Transformative Innovation, the 4IR, and Sustainable Development, based at the College of Business and Economics. It was initially co-funded by the National Research Foundation of South Africa and the British Council. So the Trilateral Chair is a partnership between three partners: the University of Johannesburg, the Science Policy Research Unit at the University of Sussex, and the African Centre for Technology Studies in Kenya, which is a policy think tank.
The chair has been very valuable to my institution, Sussex, in particular SPRU, because we're working with partners in Africa. Those partnerships bring us closer to what is going on in those contexts, with interlinkages into other parts of Africa. That's important for the kind of research we do. It's important for the way we understand the issues, the way we research the issues, the way we report the issues, because we can begin to talk in ways that are relevant to addressing those challenges. In teaching, it's about helping students to become kind of world citizens, aware of the world, aware of the issues in the world, the problems, potential solutions, hopeful solutions.
We see ourselves contributing to the two major themes or major goals of the chair: the research agenda goal and the policy agenda goal of the chair. We have done this quite well in terms of contributing to, first, the research aspect of the chair through the joint PhD trainings that we are undertaking together with the chair.
The field of innovation and development has grown quite a lot in the past 10-15 years in Africa. However, the key research questions, the themes, the approaches, the methodologies are primarily driven by questions and issues that are relevant in the global north. So there is a need to contextualize the literature to the needs and the unique challenges that developing countries, but particularly Africa, experiences.
We have differing levels of population, economic development. Our industries look very different. The relations within society work very differently. We need to take cognizance of those differences. So one of the reasons that the chair was developed was as a way of reflecting on the value of that northern literature and trying to contextualize it, reformat it, and where necessary, develop new literature and new theories and concepts that would be more appropriate for the global south and particularly for the African context.
And this is what the chair is doing. It is creating that evidence that people need to know about African context. This is the way Africa is. Whether it is in agriculture system, education, digital innovations, this is where Africa is. And therefore, if you have a new technology, because we don't want to reinvent the wheels, and you have it and it's ready, then these are the conditions that you need to take into consideration before you bring it to Africa.
The importance of development is core, is central. Education systems, water systems, food systems, we're still not food secure in the continent. Climate change is being projected to hit the continent highest, worse than other regions in the world. But these are all areas where innovation can help address these challenges.
We feel the urgency of addressing these challenges, and we need to put that knowledge that is sitting in universities at the service and co-created with those that have the power to act, decision makers. So co-creating that knowledge to us is the way forward in terms of addressing the urgent challenges that we live today.
The importance of researching innovation in terms of sustainability is about recognizing what kinds of innovations are of benefit to promoting sustainability in all its forms. So that means about achieving social justice, equality, and so on. It's about protecting the environment, but hopefully better actually enhancing the environment for ourselves and for future generations, and achieving equitable distribution of the economic gains that we can get from various innovations.
This year marks 5 years of the Chair's existence. During this time, we have launched 2 postgraduate programs, we have enrolled about 30 postgraduate students and 10 postdoctoral fellows. We have managed to attract quite a substantial amount of external funding, primarily through our international projects that we do in collaboration with partners all over the world. And so to bring it all together, at the beginning of 2024, together with our partners, we organized the Transforming Africa Conference, Innovating Our Way Towards Sustainability. I would like to welcome everybody to the conference, Transforming Africa, Innovating Our Way Towards Sustainability. My name is Erika Kremer-Mbula. I am a professor of economics here at the University of Johannesburg and the chairholder of the Trilateral Chair in Transformative Innovation.
I think the first thing to say about the conference is that this was really not the usual academic conference. What I really enjoyed about this conference was that it brought together so many different types of stakeholders. So you had researchers there, but you also had policymakers, you also had businesses, and a lot of the discussions were really applied and hands-on.
It allowed us to bring together a range of different actors. We had over 200 participants coming from private sector, government, innovators.
There is a call for distinctly African approaches, and we must respond accordingly. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a pivotal space where ideas can evolve into actionable initiatives, driving positive change and contributing to the shared prosperity and sustainability of the continent.
So we had researchers from across the continent presenting their papers across the 3 thematic areas of the conference: digital, green, and just, and inclusive innovation.
We had a panel on alternative measurements for innovation in Africa. The basic premise there is that there is a wealth of innovation that is happening on the ground organically in Africa every day. Yet when we look at conventional measurements, conventional metrics, we do not see this innovation taking place. A crucial point here is we look at informal innovation activities.
Our network is based on research, but it's much more. We're passionate about mobilizing our ideas into practice, ensuring that the private sector and government policymakers have access to our ideas based on fieldwork and desk research. To put that into action, we're able to participate in events like this conference here at the University of Johannesburg, where we can interact with high-level policymakers from UN agencies, national policymakers in South Africa and other African countries, and grassroots communities of innovators who are actually making things happen on the ground.
We structure the conference around different types of sessions, deliberately trying to foster that multi-stakeholder discussion. Some of them were policy panels, some of them were multi-stakeholder indabas, some of them were more oriented to showcasing the academic work of our students or the research work emerging from the chair.
These very immersive, intense, multi-stakeholder engagement. They started with a provocation, somebody who stood up and explained some of the key challenges and issues in each of the 3 thematic areas. And then we broke everybody up into groups, and we tried to really pin down some of the key challenges affecting the area, and more importantly, tried to put forward 3 key solutions that would move some of those challenges forward and address the gaps that were affecting each of these areas.
And I was facilitating the Indaba session, a great session dedicated to discuss thematic around inclusive innovation. There were around 20 people from different countries in Africa, and it was really a lively session. And it was very interesting how people quickly picked up on the subject and appropriate themselves the subject and start thinking about good cases, examples that exist in their country that potentially offer avenues for us to other countries or other places.
I attended a lot of the indabas and workshops about green transformation, but we had so much expertise in the rooms about also digital technologies. So for me, one of the key takeaways was the great synergy between the green and the digital, and how digital technologies can really speed up the green transformation when applied in sensible ways.
From my own point of view, given that my work is centered on just transition, the main factor that I can mention is the multidisciplinarity approach. Listening to other presenters, I realized that after all, just a transition can be approached from different angles and disciplines. That was quite instructive because looking at just a transition, it is a complex phenomenon. There is need for multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary approach for us to have a holistic approach at the end of the day.
One interesting thing about the Indaba sessions is that they were attended also by specific artists. And this is the value of understanding and putting in practice the need for different knowledges to speak to these very complex challenges that we are experiencing today. If we only have knowledge coming from the academic community or from decision makers or from industry, the picture is incomplete. So for us, it was a really nice experience to invite artists to come and sit through the discussions and then give us their interpretation of the discussions in an artistic form.
I'm going to introduce you to one of my favorite voices in the Johannesburg poetry scene. She was challenged to really be attentive to all the discussions that have been unfolding here today. And on the other side of that, she was, instructed that once she has listened, she must process all the technical information about AI and innovation and give us just as compelling a rendition of her work as a poet.
Dear leapfrogs of the continent, you have turned the dark into a friend, built her a bridge with renewed energy to connect her wisdom to your light in half the time. You shortened the days of the sun, leaping from your strengths, operating from a system with many constraints. You have built many a pathway. The software runs in your veins. Technology learns how to move through us, O children of cobalt, boys who harness the wind. Artificial intelligence upcycles the human experience. Before you digitize us, remember, we are more than just numbers. We are the code. So before you collect people like data, upgrade your malware first.
As part of the conference, we hosted an Innovators Expo. It was a great contribution to the conference. We talk about innovation and we talk about innovation policy, but at the core of innovation and the thinking about innovation are the people, the doers, the people that are coming up with new ideas, that are facing the storm and pushing through, coming up with new products, new services, new business models that are changing the way in which we do things. And in many cases, they have transformational effects.
It brought home the systemic nature of innovation and the fact that we need to move beyond the conventional approach to thinking about innovation as something that is a linear activity, but that actually there's a significant amount of innovation that takes place in society, and both in the public sector, in the community, at a household level, in the informal sector, that isn't often recognized and considered.
We opened the exhibition part to a selection of school kids that came from various schools in the region. It was so wonderful to see how the kids were asking key questions. And I think it was extremely valuable to have these younger generations of kids, school kids, experiencing innovation firsthand, but also having the policy community walking past and understanding the issues on the ground from the innovators.
Some of the older children sat in on some of the lectures and debates, and I hope that that would also inspire them to think more broadly about what innovation is and why it's important for African societies.
Why would a government department like us worry about innovation? If we are, how are we institutionalizing this worry through programs and initiatives that we would like to drive in the departments? One is we want to continue to invest in developing the science system. So we want to give researchers money to do research. We want to continue to have research chairs to drive knowledge generation.
For many of the students that we have, this was the first time they'd presented their work in a public space, so really important capacity building exercise for them, opportunity for them to get valuable feedback outside of their supervision teams.
My name is Wandile Kelimlilo. I'm a PhD student at the chair. So the group that we're in, one focused on Global North, Global South dynamics, the second focused on measurement of justice, and the third one focused on voices of the Global South.
In addition to presenting, what was also special for us is that we had some of our current students as well as former postdocs to share what the value of the chair has been to them.
I serve as a senior lecturer at the Johannesburg Business School, and I was previously a postdoc at the chair. And I don't think I would have necessarily been able to become a senior lecturer if I was not trained in the way that I was at the chair. We were given many opportunities, for instance, a number of projects that we served on, so that helped you understanding ways to conduct research, as well as supervision. So we were also given students to supervise, and these are the skills that I now need as a senior lecturer.
For the last 3 years, I've developed a huge network, not from my normal mainstream field or discipline of energy and climate change, but have created more network with knowledge and scholars in the innovation studies, energy transition and transformative innovations. I have interacted with leading scholars across Africa and across the globe, and this has changed my perspective in the theories in development studies and as a scholar in energy and climate change.
The capacity building offered by the chair was actually the deciding factor to make this commitment to study a PhD. And I think, if the academic journey is about developing the skills to contribute to knowledge, then capacity building is about the skills to contribute to society, to move from knowledge to some form of social action, to support the goals of our policymakers and our government and our university. There have been several formal and informal engagements across the globe, and I can say that without exaggeration, North, South, East and West Hemisphere, which have profoundly shaped my research and given me a sense of what the opportunities and the possibilities are.
The conference allowed us to showcase just how many connections we've made over the 5 years and the value of those connections. So beyond the 3 partners, the main partners, it brought together 10 sets of partners across 14 African countries, as well as Canada, the US, and other parts of Europe and Asia.
So it has allowed us to consolidate the partnership that we have with all of these great networks, but also it has given us a chance to meet new people and establish new collaborations.
The value of participating in this conference is that it gives me a transdisciplinary perspective to inclusive innovation. I'm a lawyer by training, but the value of this conference gives me what economists are thinking about innovation, what anthropologists are thinking about inclusive innovation, what the business people, what the sociologists are thinking about innovation. So transdisciplinarity is one of the values.
This conference is very important for me. I come from Côte d'Ivoire, and if you look at innovation studies and in general knowledge about innovation in Africa, you see that a lot of things are produced about English-speaking countries. and there's virtually nothing, or it's not visible what is happening in the Francophone countries, meaning Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina, Mali, Senegal, Cameroon, Democratic Republic of Congo. We don't know our innovation in processes. We don't know the specificity of their barriers. So we cannot even compare with the other countries, even if we are in the same sector. So coming to this conference was first to give this message. Please, whenever you are studying innovation, consider including French-speaking countries, consider including French-speaking researchers.
This conference was such a successful event. So now we look forward to the future with renewed energy and an even stronger commitment to boost up Africa's scholarship in innovation and development, and to turn that knowledge into actionable steps towards transformative progress across the continent.